नमस्कार। इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन यूनिट सेकंड का आज हम बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक पर डिस्कस करेंगे। यूनिट सेकंड का दूसरा टॉपिक है पर्पस एंड प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ द यूनाइटेड नेशन। पर्पस एंड प्रिंसिपल ऑफ द यूनाइटेड नेशंस। ये क्वेश्चन कई बार पूछा जाता है। कभी कभी पर्पस को शॉर्ट में पूछ लेता है, कभी प्रिंसिपल को शॉर्ट में पूछा जाता है, और लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन में जो है ये दोनों को इंक्लूड करके पूछता है कि डिस्कस द पर्पस एंड प्रिंसिपल ऑफ द यूनाइटेड नेशन या डिस्क्राइब द पर्पसेस एंड प्रिंसिपल ऑफ द यूनाइटेड नेशन। तो आज हम इसी टॉपिक पर चर्चा करेंगे, क्योंकि पर्पस जो है वो यूएन चार्टर के आर्टिकल 1 में दिया गया है और प्रिंसिपल जो है यूएन चार्टर आर्टिकल 2 में दिया गया है। तो इस टॉपिक को हमने दो पार्ट में डिवाइड किया है। एक में पर्पस ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशन। तो पर्पस में भी हमने 4 पॉइंट को दिया है। टू मेंटेन इंटरनेशनल पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी, टू डेवलप फ्रेंडली रिलेशंस अमॉन्ग नेशन, थर्ड to achieve international cooperation, and 4 to make the United Nation an international forum। यानी 4 इसके पर्पस है और 7 इसके प्रिंसिपल हैं। प्रिंसिपल ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशन कौन कौन से? नंबर 1 द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सॉवरेन इक्वलिटी ऑफ स्टेट, सेकेंड द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ फुलफिलमेंट ऑफ ऑब्लिगेशन, एंड थर्ड द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ पीसफुल सेटलमेंट ऑफ इंटरनेशनल डिस्प्यूट, एंड 4 द प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ नॉन यूज ऑफ 4, and 5th the principle of assistance to the United Nations, and 6 the principle for the non-members state, and 7 the principle of non-interference in domestic matter of a state। तो आइए इसको स्टार्ट करते हैं। तो सबसे पहला फर्स्ट पर्पस ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशन। तो पर्पस ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशन में देखा जाए तो आर्टिकल 1 में इसके पर्पस को बताया गया है। द पर्पसेस ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशन एज इमरेटेड इन आर्टिकल 1 ऑफ द चार्टर आर एज फॉलो। नंबर वन टू मेंटेन इंटरनेशनल पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी। टू मेंटेन इंटरनेशनल सिक्योरिटी जो है वो यूएन चार्टर आर्टिकल 1 क्लॉज 1 में दिया गया है। टू मेंटेन इंटरनेशनल पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी, एंड टू टेक इफेक्टिव collective measures for the prevention and removal of threat to the peace and for the suffusion of the act of aggression or other branches of peace, and to bring about by peaceful means and in conformity with the principle of justice and international law, adjustment or settlement of international dispute or situation which might lead to a branch of the peace. This purpose of United Nations is so important that Professor Hans Kelsen was to remark, the purpose of the United Nations is world peace. Number 2 purpose to development friendly relation among nation. To develop friendly relation among nation, UN Charter Article 1 Clause 2 में to develop friendly relation among nation के बारे में बताया गया है। To develop friendly relation among nations based on respect for the principles of equal right and self-determination of peoples, and to take other appropriate measures to strengthen universal peace. The principle of self-determination has been incorporated under para 2 of Article 1, Article 55 and Article 56 of the UN Charter. Article 55 deal with the promotion of international economic and social cooperation with a view to creation of conditions of stability and well-being which are necessary for the principles of equal right and self-determination of peoples. Article 56 provides that all members pledge themselves to take joint and separate action in cooperation with the organization for the achievement of the purposes set forth in Article 55. This provision have direct bearing for non-self-governing territories which have been dealt in chapter 6 of the UN Charter. Third purpose, to achieve international cooperation. To achieve international cooperation. Article 1, Clause 3. To achieve international cooperation in solving international problem of an economic, social or humanitarian charter and in promoting and encouraging respect for human rights and for fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to race, sex, language, or religions. This purpose of United Nation aim to achieve international cooperation in solving international problem of an economic, social, cultural or humanitarian character and in promoting and encouraging respect for human rights and fundamental freedom for all without distinction as to race, sex, language or religions. Fourth purpose, to make the United Nations an international forum for harmonization. To make the United Nation, ये जो प्रोविज़न है ये आर्टिकल 1 क्लॉज 4 में ये फोर्थ पर्पस दिया गया है, to make the United Nations an international forum for harmonization. To make the United Nations a center for harmonizing the action of the nation in the attainment of this common end. This last purpose of United Nations is to harmonize the action of the nation for the achievement of this common end under the active supervision of the United Nations. It may be noted that all these above mentioned purposes of the United Nations are the causes and object of the Charter to which the member states collectively and severally subscribe principle of subscribes. Next, UN Charter Article 2 Principles of United Nations. Article 2 of the UN Charter provides that the organization and its member in pursuit of the purposes stated in Article 1 shall act in accordance with the following principle. Number 1 principle, the principle of sovereign equality of state. The organization is based on the principle of the sovereign equality of all its members. It's laid down that all the members of United Nations, whether big or small, are equal in principle, and the formers of United Nations have not discriminated among members states. However, there are certain exceptions to this rule. According to Article 27, the decision on all important issues in Security Council require the affirmative vote of all the permanent members. Further, according to Article 108 for amendment of the Charter, it is necessary that majority of 2/3 members should adopt the amendment and the governments of this member state should ratify it, which must include the concurrence of 5 permanent members of the Security Council to effect the said amendment. Besides, there are several other provisions in the Charter which below special right and privileges to permanent member of Security Council. This special right and privileges provided to those big power were based on the assumption that they would cooperate as the did during the Second World War, but it provided to be a math. After the establishment of United Nations, this big power did not fulfill their obligation with the charter required from them. They started group in revelation on the age of Cold War started. Mr. P.A. Sorkin has rightly observed this context that the United Nations organization is based on the principle of sovereign equality of state, but the great power are legally and actually unequal to smaller states. It may be noted that this special privileges status was given to big power on the concurrence of other states at the time of formation of the charter, and it was a sort of compromise between big power and other states to provide such status to them. Now, second principle, the principles of fulfillment of obligation. The second principles of United Nations is that all members, in order to ensure to all of them the right and benefits resulting group membership, shall fulfill in good faith the obligation assumed by them according with the present charter. The principles of fulfillment of obligation जो है यह यूएन चार्टर आर्टिकल 1 क्लॉज 2 में आर्टिकल 2 क्लॉज 2 में जो है द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ फुलफिलमेंट ऑब्लिगेशन के बारे में बताया गया. नाउ थर्ड प्रिंसिपल जो है यूएन चार्टर आर्टिकल 2 क्लॉज 3 में बताया गया है. क्या है? द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ पीसफुल सेटलमेंट ऑफ dispute, international dispute. The principle of peaceful settlement of international dispute. The third principle of United Nations is that all members shall settle their international disputes by peaceful means in such a manner that international peace and security and justice are not integrate. Now, principle 4 जो कि आर्टिकल यूएन चार्टर आर्टिकल 2 क्लॉज 4 में दिया गया है. द प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ नॉन यूज ऑफ फोर्स. इसे नॉन इंटरवेंशन भी कहा जाता है, इसे इंटरवेंशन भी कहते हैं, जो कि यूएन चार्टर आर्टिकल 2 क्लॉज 4 में दिया गया है. द प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ नॉन यूज ऑफ फोर्स. द फोर्थ प्रिंसिपल ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशन इज दैट ऑल मेंबर्स शैल refrain in their international relation from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state or in any further manner inconsistent with the purposes of United Nations. Now, fifth principle जो है UN Charter आर्टिकल 2 क्लॉज 5 में प्रोविजन है. आर्टिकल 2 क्लॉज 5 में क्या है? द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ असिस्टेंस टू द यूनाइटेड नेशन, यानी संयुक्त राष्ट्र को सहायता पहुंचाने का सिद्धांत. द फिफ्थ प्रिंसिपल ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशन इज दैट ऑल मेंबर्स शैल गिव द यूनाइटेड नेशन एवरी असिस्टेंस इन एनी एक्शन इट टेक्स इन अकॉर्डेंस विद द चार्टर and shall refrain from giving assistance to any state against which the United Nations is taking preventive or enforcement action. Now, sixth principle जो है वो यूएन चार्टर आर्टिकल 2 क्लॉज 6 में बताया गया है. क्या है? द प्रिंसिपल फॉर द नॉन मेंबर स्टेट, यानी कि जो यूएनओ के मेंबर नहीं है, जो नॉन मेंबर स्टेट है, उनके विषय में यूएन चार्टर आर्टिकल 2 क्लॉज 6 में बताया गया. क्या बताया गया है? The sixth principle of United Nations is that the organization shall ensure that states which are not members of the United Nations act in accordance with this principle so far as may be necessary for the maintenance of international peace and security. Now, सेवन प्रिंसिपल जो है वो यूएन चार्टर आर्टिकल 2 क्लॉज 7 में बताया गया. आर्टिकल 2 क्लॉज 7 में क्या है? द प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ नॉन इंटरफेरेंस इन डोमेस्टिक मैटर ऑफ ए स्टेट, यानी राज्यों के घरेलू मामले में हस्तक्षेप न करने का सिद्धांत, जो कि ये यूएन चार्टर अनुच्छेद 2 परिच्छेद 7 में बताया गया है. The seventh and the last principle of the United Nations is that nothing contained in the present charter shall authorize the United Nations to intervene in matters which are essentially within the domestic jurisdiction of any state, or shall require the members to submit such matter to settlement under the present charter, but this principle shall not prejudice the application of enforcement measure under the Charter 7. In this context, it may be noted that the concept of domestic jurisdiction has changed. This day, its meaning and concept is very much dependent upon the circumstances of the cases. In olden day, the matter which were treated to be with the domestic jurisdiction of a state are now treated to be matters of international concern. Judge Lauterpad has rightly observed that any matter which is regulated by international law may not be a matter within the domestic jurisdiction of a state. In such a case, the effective action of United Nations cannot be said to intervene in the domestic jurisdiction of a state for the maintenance of international peace and security is the primary function of the United Nations. The practice of the United Nations show that the main reason for the determination of the concept of domestic jurisdiction has been attainment of its aim and purposes. It may be noted that the discretionary power of the organ of the United Nations should be taken away. Otherwise, offenses may arise where an internal matter may acquire international status, which may become adherence to law and order of a state. So now, the very important chapter, purpose and principles of United Nations. Thank you.